4 years, millions of Americans have loathed Obamacare for complicating our insurance, jacking up our premiums, and lowering the quality of our medical care. After Senate GOP leaders just announced a new bill that they're working on, however, it may be time to say goodbye to the bloated healthcare system, once and for all. It's a miracle that Obama managed to pass his ridiculously convoluted healthcare bill, seeing that most Americans don't even want the government getting involved in our healthcare systems. Yet, somehow he was able to bribe, bargain, and BS his bill into action, not for much longer, though. Ever since Obamacare was passed, taxpayers have erupted in anger, pointing out how incredibly ineffective it is. In fact, it's estimated that we've already spent over $1 trillion of taxpayer money just on trying to get this damn Obamacare bureaucracy to work properly. Thankfully, President Trump is in office, and the GOP is working hard to abolish Obamacare. We've already seen blocked attempts more than once, however, with Rhino traders such as McCain blocking the repeal and replace efforts, but this time, we may be saying goodbye to Obamacare for good. CNBC reports. The proposed Republican tax reform bill will include repeal of Obamacare's individual mandate requiring most Americans to have some form of health insurance or pay a tax penalty, GOP leaders said Tuesday. The decision means that Republicans, yet again in 2017, will attempt to gut a key element of the Affordable Care Act. So far, such efforts have failed because not enough Republican senators have backed the idea of repealing the mandate, which would lead to an estimated 13 million more people lacking health insurance. We're optimistic that inserting individual mandate repeal would be helpful, said Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, RKY, on Tuesday afternoon after a lunch meeting with the Republican conference. Senator Tom Cotton, Republican Arkansas, said, "I'm pleased the Senate Finance Committee has accepted my proposal to repeal the Obamacare individual mandate in the tax legislation. Repealing the mandate pays for more tax cuts for working families and protects them from being fined by the IRS for not being able to afford insurance that Obamacare made unaffordable in the first place," Cotton said. "I urge the House to include the mandate repeal in their tax legislation." Senate Majority Whip John Cornyn, Artex, said, "We're going to repeal the tax on poor Americans." Cornyn said the majority of people who pay the individual mandate tax penalty for not having insurance have lower incomes. Senator John Thune, RSD, told The Washington Post that there are 50 Republican senators willing to support the mandate repealing tax reform bill. That would be enough to pass it, with a tie-breaking vote from Vice President Mike Pence. Thune also said the deal agreed upon is to pass that bill alongside another bill, known as Alexander Murray, which would restore key federal subsidy reimbursements to Obamacare insurers cut off last month by President Donald Trump. Of course, the DNC trader Chuck Schumer of New York has tried to stop this bill every step of the way, and even made a vague reference to the GOP bringing about their own death. They're cutting taxes on the wealthy and taking health care from millions and raising premiums on millions of others, all to reduce taxes on the rich, he said. Naturally, Schumer has absolutely zero understanding of economics, because he believes that some ridiculous socialist pie-in-the-sky program will work effectively, when in reality it won't. "It's a backdoor to Trumpcare," he said. Well, if it is, many Americans think it's far better than Obamacare. McCain has also announced his suspicions after the bill, which is no surprise considering he betrayed his own party when President Trump and the Senate GOP leaders tried to pass a repeal and replace of Obamacare to get the ball rolling. He was one of 2 Rhinos that voted against the GOP's wishes. Senator John McCain, Republican Arizona, told reporters he wants to see the entire bill before he decided on whether to support repeal of the mandate. McCain's opposition to prior Obamacare repeal bills this year had helped doom them to defeat. A repeal of the mandate could alleviate one concern held by some House Republicans about the Senate's version of the bill. But it could also make it more difficult for the tax bill to pass because of worries by some GOP members about big drops in the number of Americans with health insurance that would result from repeal of the mandate. The individual mandate requires nearly all Americans to have some sort of health insurance coverage or pay a tax penalty. Republicans have long opposed the mandate and promised to repeal it, only to fail in those efforts. The Senate bill would repeal state and local income tax deductions, which are most commonly used by federal tax filers in states that have high income tax burdens, which in turn tends to be Democrat-leaning states. House Republicans from those states are worried they will suffer in the 2018 congressional elections if they support repeal of the deductions. The House had explicitly rejected inclusion of the repeal of the deductions in its version of the bill pending in that chamber. Senator Rand Paul, RKY, in a series of Twitter postings said repeal of the mandate also allows an additional $300 billion plus in tax cuts. That's because killing the mandate would lead to an estimated 13 million fewer people with health insurance by 2027. In turn, the government would spend almost $340 billion less on subsidies for low-income people insured through Medicaid, and on subsidies for people who buy individual health plans sold on government-run marketplaces. Trump, in his own tweet calling for the mandate's demise on Monday, said the savings could be used to cut the top marginal income tax rate for the highest income earners to 35% with all the rest going to middle-income cuts. That differs from Paul's stated motivation, which is to provide relief to middle-income taxpayers. Republicans had called for repealing the mandate in a series of Obamacare repeal and replace bills they proposed since the beginning of this year. All of those bills failed, in no small part because of concerns by several Republicans in the Senate that gains in insurance coverage for millions of Americans seen under Obamacare would be wiped out if the bills became law. Senator Susan Collins, RME, said Monday that she believes it is a mistake to combine repeal of the mandate with the tax bill, because I think we'll get no Democratic votes and I'd like this to be bipartisan. Collins, along Senators Lisa Murkowski, Republican Alaska, and McCain, had voted against a GOP-sponsored bill in July that would have repealed the mandate. Democrats in Congress universally oppose repeal of the individual mandate. But they don't have enough votes on their own to block its repeal if all of the Republicans voted for such a move. For the past 8 years, we've put up with Obama and his ridiculous socialist, anti-American policies. Now, it's time to put an end to them once and for all, but President Trump can't do it alone. He needs the support of the people, and he needs the support of our Senate. Socialism, communism, and Marxism are all different words for the same thing. Centralized power. No matter how much liberals try to deny this, and say that real socialism has never been tried, it has, and it's led to millions and millions of deaths from starvation, concentration camps, and destroyed economies. It's high time we rally behind our senators and urge them to support President Trump in his quest to repeal Obamacare. The government has no right to tell us whether or not we should purchase health care. And they certainly have no right to force us to buy their loaded, crappy packages which Obama created. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe to my channel.